All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Partnership Power Hour with Carmen Broad, Dr. Sarah Weaver. I'm Dr. Sarah Weaver. Hey, Carmen, would you like to introduce yourself?
No, I'm good. Carmen Broad.
That is
I am
introducing
Carmen Broad.
yourself. Oh my goodness. I figured we need to properly introduce ourselves for people that watch this on YouTube. So that's why I did that this morning.
Oh, that's a good idea, Sarah.
Yeah, well, I,
Yes.
I
Okay,
tried.
I am all for you. My name is Carmen Broad. I am a president here with Partner Co. And I am just really grateful for all of you listening and who are here right now and who gets to listen to this afterwards. We are excited to share some wisdom with you.
Yes, and today's partnership power hour is going to be absolutely amazing and something that I've been super excited to talk about with you guys, as I know Carmen has been as well. So I'm going to share my screen. Give me just a second. All right, so today we are going to be talking about from intention to action. A dream without action is just a wish. And Carmen, that little sentence there, that hit me. I was like, "Whoa, that's true." Because I mean, literally, if you don't act upon your dream, it's just a wish, and then you never know, it might not come true, right? And it's not going to come true if you don't put the action towards it.
Absolutely.
All
We got to
right,
plant those seeds.
exactly, and that's exactly what we're going to be talking about today. So, first we want to start off with how bad do you want it? Are you interested or committed to making your dreams become true and put forth the action, right? And not make it a wish? Do your daily actions match your goals? What would your life look like if you actually achieved your vision? Most people don't fail because they lack potential. They fail because they lack consistency. Oof, that's a jab. Oh my goodness. That hurts me right
Me, right?
there. Success is rarely about knowing more. It's about doing more. And now, Carmen, I'm sorry. I heard you were talking. Go ahead.
No, that wasn't me actually.
Oh,
But I just want to touch on this. I think this is just going, I think that sometimes we like to overcomplicate things. We get too many things in our head. And that's why I think it's really important to write down our goals and the committed part, it like how committed to changing our lives or how committed to our goals are we? And I think that is where the action plan comes in and keeping it simple, but we've got to plant those seeds every day, right? And I think it's important also to like, what would your life look like if you actually achieved your vision? Like when we actually visualize ourselves in that place of success, like we've already arrived, that's where we can really, kind of, I don't know if I like the word manifesting, but like, pray it into existence, speak it into existence. But we've also got to be willing to show up consistently and do the work.
exactly. And you also, something that I'd like to touch on is lacking consistency. What we have here is a system of growth, and we know with the system of growth, we know it works. We are to post at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. every single day for our time zone, right? And it's very easy to get out of that rhythm. Yes, there are ways that we can all schedule, right? But once you accidentally forget to post, it just becomes easy to get out of rhythm. And then that's when we start lacking consistency. And then that's when we see our business fail. Well, maybe not fail, but it's not booming as we want it to, right? And so that's why I love the bottom statement is most people don't fail because they lack potential. They just lack consistency. And that's something that we all need to make sure that we're not doing is that we're not lacking in consistency. We need to always be consistent and persistent, especially here in this industry. Carmen, anything you want to add to that?
No, I'm good. That's good.
Okay, perfect. All right, so now we're going to talk about conviction. So, conviction changes your posture. And conviction sounds like confidence and certainty, but what it doesn't sound like is wavering or uncertainty, right? Conviction is the quiet assurance that shapes how you carry worse. It's not about loud declarations, but the subtle strength in your stance, right? Gotta have that confidence. It's the difference between a leader who inspires trust and someone who hesitates. True conviction doesn't need to be shouted, it speaks through your posture.
I love
Carmen, I'll let you
this.
talk about
Like,
this.
I really feel like this is really, I think, probably the one of the most important things that we need to have as a brand partner. Like, just, and I think that all kind of goes back to the consistency of even just showing up. Because even when we don't have a guest on a Zoom, or even when we don't have, you know, we haven't invited anybody, but it's important to show up, because when we join this business, we all know that we have a whole other life. And we join this business, we have goals, we have vision, we have excitement, and we get emotionally involved in the very beginning. But as life trips us up, as it does, because we all have it, it's so easy to forget that feeling, right? We forget, how we felt. We forget, like it's like, and then we kind of think, oh yeah, we get busy in our minds and get focused on the busyness of our lives. But we really need to put that goal and that dream as a priority, and be consistent in showing up, be consistent in the actions. And the biggest thing is if we show up to the things, to the events in our areas, or just to the Zooms online, or whatever we can do to show up, I think that that is where your conviction, it changes your posture. Because when you hear other people's success stories, when you hear, I income producing activities that work for other people, it just, it plants seeds in your mind of like, oh yeah, it reminds you of somebody, or you thought of, oh, I could do that, or it gives you ideas, and it keeps you in the game. What if we're not showing up and being like each of you showing up today, like that just shows your commitment. But I'll tell you right now, like when I, like a lot of people, especially new people coming into the business, it's like the conviction in your posture is what people feel from you. So it doesn't matter what you say to people always, but what matters is how you make them feel. And I think that's really key. And I think, I will just actually talk about this. Like I had a call yesterday, like a three-way call, and the person was pretty much a hard no right in the very beginning. And I'll just tell you, the person was also an ex NHL player, so I was a little bit out of my comfort zone at first. But I want you to. But here's the difference. Like we had a really good conversation, and I recognized that it wasn't me about pitching; it was about getting to know and building that relationship. And in the end, from that hard no, it switched over because I took the time to listen, and I heard the need. And so when I came back around, I really just focused on that need of that person. It's like, if I could show you a way, if I could show you a system that's like the system that we have with Partner Co, it really sets us apart in this industry. Because a lot of people, that I've talked to, they've been in the industry for a while, they haven't had success. And that's what they remember. They remember how this industry made them feel. And so if I can come along, or we, come along and help somebody go from here to here, and how, give them like kind of speak belief. And I think that's where it comes. The conviction of, I believe in what I'm doing. If I believe in Partner Co, if I believe in our system of growth, if I'm doing the planting those seeds, I have that conviction in my posture. So I don't get rattled. I just listen. And it's like, okay, because it's not going to be for everybody, but if I can leave that person feeling better, and I don't know how to word that, but just that conviction, the posture, the person with the most conviction wins. So we've got to always, and that's where the more we show up, the more we stay consistent in our business, that gives us confidence, which helps our conviction.
I
Back to you,
agree.
Sarah.
And something that someone said, Elsa said in the comments, is stand up for yourself when you get messages of, I don't like getting all your posts on my feed. Be proud and committed. Yes, 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 yes. No, this is not for everybody, but every time you approach someone with this business, It's okay to get no's, just like Carmen just mentioned, but don't take it to heart. Don't let it become a fear. More than anything, let that build your confidence. Be proud of who you are. Be proud of what you're doing. Be proud of the products that we have, right? Because we know they work. Um, I love that comment, Elsa. Thank you so much for that. And I also love that she said, I was a hard no. Well, I thought I was. Yes. So most no's are just not right now. Honest to goodness. Most
No,
no's are just not right now. As Elsa said.
I
Are-
agree with that so much. I just want to touch on that a little bit too, Elsa, like, and Sarah. Like, for anyone that knows me, I was also a hard no, a hard no. Like, I had zero interest in doing this business. And it took about 6 months. Well, actually, I watched posts for about a year. And then when I did join, just mostly to get the people who were trying to recruit me off my back. Like, I'm in, okay, leave me alone, right? And then it took 6 months after that before I started to even engage. So you never know. Every lead is a potential leader. I heard that on the IPA this morning from Brent Palmer. And I absolutely, I love that. Every lead is a potential leader. We never know who we're speaking to or who they know, who they may lead us to. So anyway, yeah.
yes. And Diane, you're right. Every no brings you closer to a yes. That is 100% true. So, with what we were just talking about, getting those no's, I know for me personally, my conviction is I used to have a fear of rejection. And that fear is very expensive. And we want to talk about the fear of, of, of such, right? And what it can do to you. So, fear keeps you stuck. I didn't want to reach out and ask people, hey, do you want to learn more about what I do, right? I was stuck and I didn't want to reach out. It also limits you. So then it limits your business from building, right? It keeps you dependent and it keeps you small. And that's what we don't want. What we want is for you to go create action. And action creates progress, freedom, independence, and growth. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. I'm going to repeat that again because that is very powerful. Confidence doesn't come before action. Confidence comes from action. You get confident the more no's you get because then you start seeing those turn into yes. Or at least it has personally for me. And most leaders simply acted before they felt ready. Carmen, that's kind of like what you just talked about. You said you were a hard no, right?
Yeah, I
Carmen,
really feel I feel like we get really too attached to the outcome. And if we would just focus on the actions and doing, like, planting those seeds consistently every day, whatever that looks for you, like, just, figure out how much time you have to put into your business and really strategize on keeping that if it's 30 minutes a day, if it's 2 hours a day, if it's four, keep that time productive. Don't, like, and I'm speaking to the choir here right now, like, when, because I find that busy people get things done also, like, so I always laugh when somebody says I'm really busy. I'm like, yeah, we're looking for busy people, because I know what it's like when you're not busy. It's easy to procrastinate, right, and not really do what's required. And so fear, like being stuck, like I find in my experience, if I stop being consistent in just even reaching out, like when you've always got somebody in the pipeline, it's like it's, like you've left, 5 messages today, so you've got 5 people that could potentially reach back to you the next day or that day or whatever. But you've got to do that every day. It's just because we're focusing on the activity and not the outcome. You never know. And just being, and always, and just following up, checking in on people. Hey, maybe you've got some time today, maybe we could have a little chat. I also want to say this too, when we are planting these seeds, being clear to you in our conversations with people, I think it's important that people know, like, like when I reach out to somebody, they know why I'm reaching out. And I always am I always make a point of asking them. I always let them know I want them to join my business. I want them to join my team. I make that very clear because you know what? People do what we ask or what we tell them sometimes when we're not, when we're kind of wishy-washy and kind of in that wavering, like we don't really, we're not in that posture. People will sense that and kind of like, okay, well, whenever you're ready, maybe let me know. We've got to be very bold and clear, with authenticity. You know what I mean? Like we're not going to be, like tell people what to do meanly, but just to people need to know, I want you to join my team. I'm building a team. I'm all in. I'm committed to this business, and I'm going to do this. And when you be able to cast that vision for people, they will buy into your belief, your business, your conviction, and your vision.
I agree. And it goes back to something that Elsa said in the comments. Positive energy creates vibration. It's a ripple effect that creates a wave of attraction. So that goes hand in hand with what Carmen just said as well.
Mhm.
So with creating action and having action create the progress, freedom, independence, and growth, that means you have to do something, right? And in doing something, you have to be all in. What does all in actually look like, though? So, a couple of daily non-negotiables, meaning these are things that you need to be doing in your business every single day. You need to reach out to 5 to 10 people, have personal development. Now, personal development, that could be a multitude of things. Joining the IPA call, joining this call, like learning from your peers, your brand partners, your people crossline, other people in other parts of this whole business, right? Because we all need to have our thinking caps on. And I know that sounds really corny, but it's true. We're not too old or too young to learn something each and every single day, and we all could use personal development. I know I do. I speak that on myself, right? So also a couple other non-negotiable daily things you need to do is post content. We have a system of growth. We have posts for you to post at 9 a.m. and 3 p.m. Make sure you are doing that and posting consistently. Attend trainings. I just kind of talked about that. Whether it's the IPA call, whether it's a team training, whether it's a training with Brent Palmer, whether it's a training with James Zing, making sure that you join and attend these trainings because it goes back to personal development and then also building your business and then also builds that consistency and persistency, right? And then invite guests to calls. And Carmen, I'm going to ask you this question. And guys, I've not asked Carmen this question, so she's going to be like, whoa, that's out of left field. So Carmen, inviting guests, could people invite their people to this call? Because we are doing a training and we are building people up. So is that something that you would be open to?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah. Like it's, yeah, like I mean, I think it's good to have people who are already brand partners. Is that what you mean? Like to come on the call?
Oh yeah, yeah, most
Yeah.
definitely. But
Yeah.
also like is it okay to invite guests if they're like not in their business? Maybe they're friends like you and I, right? We're cross-line. And maybe they're like, "Oh, well, such and such person from such and such team would benefit greatly from this call." Would that be okay for someone to do?
Oh, absolutely. What? Yeah,
Okay.
for sure.
Perfect. And then also following up, we need to make sure we follow up. If you were a part of the IPA call this morning, you heard lots of IPAs and everybody talked about following up. Fortune is in the follow up. That's exactly what Kim Bailey used to always say. And it is because if you don't follow up, the person that maybe bought a box of drops from you, they are like, oh, well, one and done. That's it. The person just wanted me to buy a box of drops and that's it. But something kind of going back to what Carmen said is even though she had gotten that no, right? She still built that relationship. And that is what following up is all about. It is following up to build that relationship, to build that trust. And that is a huge thing that you need to be doing daily, all the time. And again, that's that whole list that I just mentioned. Being all in isn't working 18 hours a day. It might be for some, but it doesn't have to be, right? It's doing the right activities every single day because consistency beats intensity. Carmen, anything you want to add to that?
I do. Um, so one of the things I want to touch on is personal development. Like, when I feel like that is probably one of the most important things we can do for ourselves and for our business. Working harder on ourselves than our business sometimes is important. We go in business, I feel like it kind of can go in ways. We have times where when we're in, kind of recruit mode, building team mode, and then we have lull times where it's kind of like, And I feel like whenever we're in a moment of like, something's not quite just flowing, that's when you go to work on yourself. And I'll tell you, one of the things I've learned over the years of being in this industry is a lot of the obstacles that we will get consistently are very like if you'll notice, if you recognize the obstacles that you face in your business. So those are the things that you've got to kind of take note in. And I'll tell you, like, a lot of times people will get the same obstacles over and over. I don't have time, or I don't have the money. If we recognize that those are usually our own fears that we're putting out there, we attract what we're thinking. We attract that. So when we have that posture in ourselves and we're confident in what we have, when we recognize that we literally are bringing people a gift that will truly change their life, when we have that posture rather than the posture of, ooh, I don't know, this person's probably not going to be able to afford this, and they're going to be worried. What we're thinking in our head is kind of what we're going to attract. So our fears really do project onto our prospects. So that's where working on ourselves and being in showing up and building that belief in ourselves and what we have to offer people. Because I think the biggest thing the biggest fear people have is it's like the rejection, like what Sarah touched on, like it's like the rejection of the no's. We are focused on that outcome way too much. If we focused on building those relationships rather, and asking questions, and then just like removing the outcome, but focusing on how you're going to leave that person feeling when you're done talking to them, they're going to remember. Like, I just heard this on the IPA again too. Like, that's the thing. You see, when I'm on that IPA in the mornings, I pick up stuff and I'm like, oh, that is so good. Even though we hear these things over and over, sometimes they just register differently some days, or a different, like, I could hear something from one person 10 times, but somebody else says it and it registers. And that's where I feel it's important to show up, because we get like, that's going into us, that's helping us in our belief and our posture. And so attending the trainings, I guess, is all of that. And so with those obstacles, I kind of want to touch on that. So if we're getting the same kind of, obstacle coming to us, like, oh, I don't have time. Oh, I don't have. I'll just explain back when I was raising 3 kids on my own, when I was a single mom and I was in this industry. And everybody kept saying to me, oh, I don't have time. But I recognized all day long, I was like telling myself, I don't have time. I don't have time. I gotta be, so I was speaking that into my life. I was speaking that all day long. I don't have time. I gotta go. I don't have time. I'm busy. I'm late. Blah, blah, blah. But those were the messages I was giving myself all day. So no doubt the people who I was going to talk to were busy, or they didn't have time. So when we start to recognize, I really love that one, where when someone says they don't have time, just to not let that rattle you. That's when it comes to your posture, and when you can speak into that and go, perfect. I'm looking for people who don't have time, because people who are busy get things done, and just being able to overcome those objections in a confident, in a confident way, without it making, oh, I knew they were going to say that, or rather, I love that. That's exactly where I was at. And that's why people like us need this. And when you learn that we have a system of growth that you can basically, if I could show you a way to put this into your busy lifestyle already. And I also say to people, I know you're busy, but guess what? You're aligning with me, you're partnering with me. I'm here full time. I have time. So you're going to leverage your time through me. And that's the kind of verbiage we need to kind of learn to overcome these kind of objections.
Exactly. And overcoming the objections builds your confidence. Now, it's not going to happen overnight. Did it happen overnight for you, Carmen? I know for me personally, it didn't.
No, I mean, one thing about me is like, because I've been in business for like most all my life. I'm very unemployable. So that's where for me, like when I join a business and I make it that decision, make it all in, you will hear it in my posture. You will hear it in my belief. That doesn't mean that I know what I'm talking about, but when I make, that's where I feel that that's where I'm a lot like what you would call ignorance on fire, because I don't need to know anything. But if I know that I'm in and I know where I'm going, I might not know how, but I know that's where I'm going. People will pick up on that. If you're caught up in all the details, oh, I don't know how to make a smart link, which is basically me in the beginning. I didn't know how to make a smart link for 2 months. But here's the thing, like I knew that I would figure it out. I knew that I had people around me that will help support that vision that I had, and I was excited about that. And so people again will buy into that posture and your confidence level in knowing who you are, where you're going, and that you'll take them with you. People will follow you if you can lead. If you don't know that, if you don't feel like you're able to take them from one step to the next, they that's an unwavering feeling, or if somebody wants to, if they see this as an opportunity and they are like, oh wow, but if you're wavering on, I'm not sure if I can do this, I mean, we can try, or having that type of verbiage, people are going to be like, so you've just got to really be, just and that's where the three-way calls come in. Like those third party phone calls, I think are so important, because you get somebody on that call with you and they're going to edify you, they're going to speak life into you and your person.
Exactly. Carmen, we do have one question in the comments, and I'm going to ask it real fast because we're almost done, guys. We want to honor your time because time is valuable. But there's a question in chat. It says, and this is from Diane. Is it better to do an ask about the business reaching out to a cold prospect or build a relationship first? What is your answer on that, Carmen? I'm curious.
Is it better, just hang on, I'm just trying to my, is it better to do an ask about the biz reaching out? Um, Diane, I would say, like, when I when I'm reaching out to somebody to talk about the business, it depends. Like, if it's a cold prospect, I would try to build a little bit of trust, like kind of, a little bit of conversation back and forth. Ask a few questions, like asking questions. The biggest thing is you want to build trust and you want to find that need. So they're gonna, like, one of the things, I'll go back to that call last night just because it was very interesting, is I was right. Like, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, whew, because I could sense the like the hard no, you know what I mean? And I was like, I don't know how I'm gonna push through this one, right? But what I did is exactly what I tell people to do. So I took a step back and realized, you know what? I let go of the outcome. And then I just because that was a very cold prospect, right? So I knew nothing, he knew nothing about me. And so I just started to ask questions and kind of just dig deep on a few things. And what happened was is I let him talk. I let him talk, and he basically talked himself into the business. Now he's not in yet, you guys, but what I learned from that is I found the need. And so at the end of that conversation, I was able to say, okay, you know what? So I do. I just then I brought in the posture, because I know what I'm doing over here, right? I know, like, what we have here. I know what we have as a gift, and I know that what we have could change his life. So he wasn't recognizing that because he's been a part of a million, network marketing companies. But I said to him, I go, after I let him talk, I was basically, if I could show you a system that has proven to work. Like there's, and we, this company is so set apart in this industry, the timing and everything in our products and blah blah blah. I just said, if I could show you a system that would change your life, would you be interested? And he said yes at the end. So I finally worked into that yes, but it was because I touched on a few of the needs that I felt. So I'm sorry if I'm babbling here, but I'm trying to just express that I asked a lot of questions and let him talk for a very long time before I came in again and said, if I could show you a way, would you be interested? Yes. Right. So I got a yes. Now, like now, so the door's open. So I don't know if that helps you, but I think it is all about people will join you in this business if they like you and they trust you.
Exactly. And they trust you by you asking those questions, by you listening, you let them talk because that does build the relationship. So thank you for that, Carmen. And I agree. I agree with what Carmen said. And even with social media, you can still build a relationship first. An example of that would be you have a cold prospect and you know that you want to talk to them about the business, but you have to refrain from doing so, right? So you're watching their Facebook post, you're watching what they post in stories. Maybe they post a good recipe and you're like, "Well, that's not that healthy, but hey, that looks kind of good, right?" And so you reach out to them, "Hey, what is that recipe? That looks really good." And just dripping on them, like having those conversations with them little bit by little bit, right? That does build a relationship. And again, there's various ways that you can do that on social media. But since we do use social media with the system of growth in our business, that's why I wanted to talk about that for that question. So thank you for that. Sorry we got a
Can
little bit
I
off track,
add to
but
that, Sarah? Just
oh
to
yeah, go
just
for it.
what Sarah just said there is key, because what she's saying is with all the social media we have, we go on their Facebook and we can look and see, find a connection. What like once you find that connection, oh, she's a single mom or she loves cooking, like what Sarah said, that's the connection. You find that connection and that's where you start. And I think that's perfect, Sarah.
Well, thank you. And so now we're going to move into what we talked about today on the IPA. So, again, if you weren't part of the IPA, on Wednesdays, we have Epic Club Wednesdays. If you don't know what Epic Club is, ask the person that invited you to this call or to view this video because it is absolutely epic. And I literally mean epic, right? So, with that, there's a challenge, and Orlando is just around the corner. It is June. We all go to Orlando at the beginning of September, and we want to see you there. But we want to know a couple of things, and then we also have some action assignments for you guys as well, leading up to getting you into Epic Club, getting you to Orlando, and it's going to be super awesome. So, first off, what is your biggest struggle in your business right now? You don't have to answer that verbally. You can write that down or you can at least ponder on it and think about it. What is your biggest struggle in your business right now? The second question that we have is what is your number one goal for the next 90 days? Is that getting into Epic Club? Is it building your business? Is it opening your business worldwide, maybe in a different country, maybe even in Australia? Is that something that is a goal for you? But figure out what is your number one goal for the next 90 days. The third question is what is your ultimate dream for your life and business? And then the fourth question is what is holding you back from achieving that? Is it fear? Is it because you lack consistency? Again, you don't have to answer aloud. You can write it down or you can just ponder upon that. But make sure you ask yourself those four questions as you go throughout your day today. And a couple of things, and Carmen, I know you're going to want to talk about this, but I want to mention the action assignments real fast. What we want you to do today, and you can do it over the next week, right? Add 25 names to your list. So if you were with us last week, we asked you to write down 10 names. I think Barry was an overachiever with me last week. We wrote down 20 names, but this week we want you to add 25 more names to your list of people to reach out to. Again, it could be a cold prospect, it could be on your chicken list, it could be a warm prospect, but add 25 names to your list. Reach out to 10 people. Just reach out to them, whether it's making that connection, whether it's talking to them about the business, whether it's talking to them about product. Make sure you reach out to 10 people. And then invite 3 guests to a Zoom. It can be this Zoom, it could be the IPA call, it could be a team Zoom, it could be a call with Coach Brent Palmer, with James Zing. Just invite 3 guests to a Zoom. And then we're going to share our goals publicly. And we might even do that on our call next week. Because that's something, Carmen, I think that we should do because I would love to hear what everybody's number one goal for the next 90 days is. And if they don't want to post on Facebook, that's fine. But here you could share it and you could tell us. So, Carmen, what are your thoughts on that?
Hmm. I got lots of thoughts. My problem is I'm always trying to figure out which angle to go. It's like boom, boom, boom. So I want to start with adding 25 names to your list. If when you put pen to paper and you write those names down, I think that's where it's at. Like, what, because I know, and I'm speaking to myself too, because I've got all these, and I think Marlene asked me last week, do you write all this down? And I'm like, I got about 6 different books on the go. I got names wrote everywhere, but I want to write my names in on like, properly in one spot because I'm gonna like, I want to like where I go is I pray about it. It's like, I ask God, nudge these people or open the door, like bring the right people to me. And so, and give me wisdom on what to say and how to word it. And I ask God to be in and to go ahead of me always. And that's just what I do. I'm not telling anybody what to do, but that's what I do. And so when you put pen to paper and write those names down, it's kind of like, I use God. Some people say whatever they want, but it's like the doors will open and it's kind of like you're visualizing it and see it done, like visualize like these people are going to join my team. I believe this. Feel it when we actually can go and say thank you, start being in gratitude for the success that you're already having. I just heard that this morning when I was doing my little morning stuff. It was like I honestly I was having a little bit of anxiety and I was like, oh, what am I doing here? And again, so I went back into like that posture of like, thank you and gratitude for the people joining my team. And, and when you can visualize and look at that list, you know what? That those doors will start to open. And then reaching out to 10 people when we're in these new conversations, like that's the thing, we like let go of the outcome, just be engaged in making those connections and starting these conversations and invite 3 guests to a Zoom. I do want to say, like, if you look at Tim Sales' Facebook, he's really saying like his biggest thing is show this the most important thing and the only thing, really like the key thing that we can do in this business for success is to show the plan. Show the plan, show the business. So we've got to present that opportunity, whether it's sending a video of the overview or inviting somebody to a Zoom. Barry has a Touchdown Tuesday every Tuesday. It's an overview. That's on Tuesdays. Like there's many overviews that you can plug people into, right? So, and sharing your goal publicly. I mean, that can be just with us, our team, and I think that's really key because it's a commitment. It's like you're putting it out there. So write it down, and then we'll focus on that next week. Is sharing some goals. And I just want to touch. I'm sorry, I know we're going over, but this morning, like when they speak about we just finished phase chapter 1 and we're going into chapter 2 with this company. You're not too late. And again, like I won't get into that whole conversation about comparison, but remember that the top income earner of Partner Co has not joined the company yet. So if you are reaching out to those 10 people, out of those people could be that person. You don't know. So just do the work, be consistent, and stay positive.
And that is a very good closing statement there, Carmen, because guys, you are one conversation away from being understood, being accepted, being loved, finding connection, and changing your life. And we want to challenge you to stop waiting for confidence and start taking action because momentum isn't found, it's created. And that is it for today from us, guys. Carmen, I'm going to hand it back to you to close us out, ma'am.
Oh, I just want to say thank you, Sarah. That was amazing. And thank you all for showing up. I always just want to say, like, that the people who show up are the ones that are going to win. I believe that. And I am excited. And you know what? It's already 10 o'clock my time. We got to let you go. So let's get to work. Let's go and make those connections and let's do the activity today. Let's make a difference in someone's life today.
Amen. Alrighty, guys, we will see you next Wednesday. Hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. Bye, guys.